Good evening, everybody. Rev.Dave Roach again. You're doing another installment on our series on witchcraft and the occult, a series I called Covenant with Death. Tonight's subject is going to be on what we know as symbolism. Symbolism. Symbolism, brothers and sisters, is all around you. It's everywhere you look. Symbols are images that represent a person, a entity, or a location. They're an image that it's not the actual organization or person, but it's something you can look at and identify with that individual or organization. So in other words, for example, if I'm going off the exit, I'm driving, I get off the exit and I see one of the little signs on the side of the road and it has the golden arches on it. It don't have to say McDonald's. I know by looking at that particular symbol that if I get off this exit, there's going to be a McDonald's there, because I associate, my brain associates that symbol with McDonald's. That's a pretty simple example of symbolism, how it works with your brain. The occult uses symbology quite a bit. They use it for communication, one with another, whether it be in the actual symbol itself or hand signs, like a lot of you street gangs use that. Like, for example, that's a C for Crip or B for Bloods. That is symbolism. That is showing others of your ilk that you're in the group, you're in the clique. We find it throughout society. We find it amongst all the occultists, especially what we would call the Illuminists, Illuminati, which is nothing more than Luciferian or Babylonianism. You'll see like the all-seeing eye, or the celebrities will cover one eye. And it symbolizes, it shows that to one another that, hey, I'm with you, I'm in the group. The Masonic Lodge does quite a bit of it. They'll throw particular symbols out. They'll either wear necklaces or rings or belt buckles and things of that nature that have the Masonic symbols on them, showing other Masons that they come across that, hey, I'm in the clique, I'm in the group, I'm one of you, and it's very, very powerful stuff. A lot of times we'll see in the occult that they will take these symbols and cast them in jewelry, and actually utilize the wearing of that jewelry as a means of communication with each other and representation of their group or organization. For example, and I'll give you an example, if a Mason goes to court, they're charged with a crime, and that judge is a Mason too. If that person being tried is able to communicate with that judge with what's nonverbal communication through symbolism, that judge, being a Mason, is bound by a death oath to help that individual who's being tried by either giving him a lighter sentence or outright just letting them off. That's how important symbolism is to these people. When it comes to these secret societies, as we just talked about, such as the Masons or the Illuminati, that's predominantly what they use the symbolism for and symbology for. We find it in corporate America. Some of the biggest corporations in the country, if I had time to show you their logos and symbols, it is loaded with occult symbology. It's loaded with it. But we're specifically dealing tonight with the use of symbols, or as sigils, as they're called in the ritual magic field, or the witchcraft field. They're actually used to summon or to draw demonic activity and powers to the person who is drawing or writing this particular symbol. For example, the pentagram. Witches will take the pentagram or the pentacle and they'll draw it on the floor in chalk or paint, and they'll do some ritual magic with that symbol being the focus. That symbol actually is becoming a focal point for the demonic forces to key in on. And they come to that location that is marked with that symbol. One of the most powerful, excuse me, one of the most powerful black magics in the world is from a black magic called Palo Mayombe, which is African black magic originating in the Congo. I could probably do a video just on that. It's pretty interesting. They draw these magical symbols on the ground or on the floor and summon these different spiritual entities. Now, this is how we get caught up in it. In normal everyday life, we see go to the mall or something, and you see an interesting necklace or a crystal, and we just think it's just, cool looking symbol. But what you're actually doing when you put that thing on, that is inviting whatever spirit is associated with that symbol to your life, and then showing other people who are followers or worshipers of that particular spirit that, hey, I'm one of you. So it's drawing attention both in the spirit realm and the natural world. I see it all the time. I was at McDonald's recently going through the drive-thru, and the lady working the drive-thru, when she was leaning out to hand me my meal, her shirt came down a little bit and her necklace came out, and it was one of the Wiccan symbols. And we locked eyes, and I immediately knew what she was, and she immediately knew what I was, and we exchanged pleasantries, and that was the end of that. And we as Christians need to be able to identify these people. The Bible says mark them. Mark them. You're supposed to know who it is you're dealing with. And symbology, having a basic understanding of it and what the enemy believes and what they use, is key in being able to exercise your discernment when it comes to dealing with people. Because yes, we deal with spiritual wickedness in high places, but it manifests itself through individuals. That's what a spirit does. They work through the vessel, and that vessel will have the identifying features through symbolism that say that I am a supporter or I belong to this particular spirit. You'll find this, and as I did a previous video, we were talking about street gangs. This is why they tag and mark their territory with particular symbology, because that symbology is representation of the spirit that is behind that particular gang. And just do some research. Look through gang graffiti on the internet, and you will find demonic symbols used in their graffiti. It's because that's the spirit that is controlling that particular region or particular area in particular gang. So it's very real. Symbols cast in jewelry say a lot about it. If I ever walk across a man or a woman and I see they wearing a cross necklace, or a fish necklace, I automatically can associate that person loosely with Christianity. If I see a pentagram, I automatically am going to assume that person is a supporter of witchcraft. Or if I see an inverted pentagram, in other words, that pentagram is upside down, then I can automatically assume that person is involved in open Satan worship or Luciferianism. If I see the all-seeing eye or owls, for example, as a symbol used by the occult, symbolizing what? Wisdom. Now, there's nothing about an owl that's any smarter than any other bird, but they're always associated with wisdom. You see the wise old owl, for example. So I'm just throwing out some very common, very basic things to look for in people's jewelry. Now, you can get in the world of witchcraft, they will even go so far as to bind or attach demonic forces to particular pieces of jewelry or objects. And we dealt with this earlier in a video on deadly possessions, on how these types of entities can be bound to these particular objects. So, Christian parents, you need to be mindful of what your children are wearing. Take a good hard look at their jewelry selection if you allow them to wear jewelry, and it'll be one of the first indicators of occult activity or demonic activity in their life is over what they wear, be it clothing or jewelry. So take a good inventory of it, brothers and sisters. The Bible says in Deuteronomy, touch not the accursed thing. And you can trust and believe that some of this symbolism is definitely accursed. Till the next time, God keep you and bless you. Love you in the Lord.